Hello friends, today we'll see in this video ultra capacitors and flywheel. Okay, this both are the coming in an energy storage. Both have a different mediums of the energy storage. So we'll discuss that one in detail. Let's go for the presentation. Contents for today's presentation is ultra capacitor and flywheel. Ultra capacitor will discuss introduction, components of ultra capacitors, types of ultra capacitors, advantage, disadvantage, and application. Same way in a flywheel, we discuss about the introduction, components of the flywheel, advantages, disadvantages, and its applications, where it is used actually. Ultra capacitor. So ultra capacitor, see capacitor. Yes, we know capacitor. So one of the passive element of a electrical circuit, or it stores some electric charge. Yes, electrostatic. Yes, the charges it is storing. Okay, the same thing, but something the working difference is there. So this is defined as the energy storage device that stores the energy electrostatically by polarizing the electrolytic solution. Unlike the battery, there's no chemical reactions is taking place. When the battery energy is being stored or discharged, the ultra capacitor can grow through the hundred of thousands of charging cycle with no degradation. See, we've seen that in battery it is electrochemical. Okay, so what happens, the reactions is taking place. In this reactions, what happened after the so many cycles, it have a started of degradation, means life is going to reduce. Actually here there's nothing like that way. So no reactions is taking place here. So ultra capacitors is also known as a double layer capacitors also, and a super capacitors also. So most famously ultra capacitor is also known as a super capacitors. So construction we can see upside you can see one figure. Okay, so it consists of two carbon nanotubes activated by the carbon electrodes immersed in a electrolyte. Okay, which way it is constructed? Two carbon and nanotubes are there activated by the carbon electrodes is there, which is immersed in a electrolyte. So there is a membrane immersed in a electrolyte between the electrodes. The membrane contains the ions but no electrons. Okay, this membrane contains the ions only, there will be no electrons. Okay, so electrons can't flow through the device because of the separator. We have a separator here. So you have a current collectors, two current collectors, porous electrodes is there, and one separator is there. See in this figure this much things are there. We have a positive and a negative, both is there. Okay, so there's a two carbon sheets separated by a separator. Yes, geometrically size of the carbon sheet is taken in such a way that they have a very large surface area. Okay, so carbon sheets what you're taking which have a very large surface area. Highly porous carbon can store more energy than any other electrolytic capacitor. So it stores more energy compared to the what we have a capacitor. When the voltage is applied to the positive plate, yes, now positive plate, when we are applying the positive voltage, what happens, it attracts the negative ions from the electrolyte. Okay, so whatever the electrolyte is there, it attracts the negative ions if you are charging the positive plate with the some voltage. And when the voltage is applied to the negative plate, it attracts the positive ions from the electrolyte. So therefore there is a formation of a layers of ions on the both side of the plates. Okay, so we are getting both sides some ions because of the voltage applied in the positive electrode and the negative electrode. So this is known as a double layer formation. So the ultra capacitor is known as a double layer capacitor. The ions are then stored near to the surface of the carbon. Okay, the distance between the plates are in order of angstroms. Okay, this is a unit for the distance. Okay, now capacitor, ultracapacitor stores the energy via the electrostatic charges on the opposite surfaces of the electric double layer. They utilize the high surface area of carbon as the energy storage medium. Okay, as the surface area of carbon is very high, what happens? The storage, electrical storage energy will be also high, resulting in energy density much be higher than the conventional capacitor. The purpose of having the separator is to prevent the charge moving across the electrode. So amount of charge stored in a large is compared to the standard capacitor is large, okay, because of the no surface area, okay, surface area of the carbon electrode and the small charge separation created by the dielectric separator. So compared to the whatever the conventional capacitors we have, the charge which is stored in this ultra capacitor will be high. Types of ultra capacitors, we have a three types: double layer capacitors, pseudo capacitors, and hybrid capacitors. So double layer capacitor is also known as the electrochemical double layer capacitors, that is EDLC. Okay, it is consisted of two carbon based electrodes, electrolyte and a capacitor, what we have seen in a construction actually. So EDC stores the energy, stores the charge electrostatically, and there is no transfer of charge between the electrode and the electrolyte. So here there's no transferring. As we have seen in battery, there is a flow of electrons or something is happening, but here there's no flow like that way. So EDLC utilize the electrochemical but double layer of charge to store energy. As the voltage is applied, the charge accumulate on the electrode surface. This achieves the very high cycling stabilities. So subclass of ELDC is distinguished primarily by the form of carbon they use as electrode material. The different forms of carbon material that can be used to store charge in EDLC electrode are activated carbon, carbon aerogels, and carbon nanotubes. Okay, so these are the different activated carbons they are using. Okay, we are using different types of, means for the electrolyte we are using this much carbon, this way of carbons actually. Pseudocapacitors in contact with the EDLC, the store energy electrostatically, but what happens? The store is faradically, okay, through the transfer of the charge between the electrode and the electrolyte. It is accomplished to the reduction of oxidation reaction. So some reaction is taking place, and there's a flow of charge, actually transfer of charge is taking place between the electrode and the electrolyte. In the previous case there's no transferring is happening place. Okay, so Fadic process of may allow the pseudo capacitor to achieve the greater capacitance and the energy density than the EDLC. Okay, previous one compared to it have a more energy density. There is two electrode material that are used to store the charge in the pseudo capacitor conducting the polymer and the metal oxides. Hybrid capacitors attempt to exploit the relative advantage and mitigate the relative disadvantage of the EDLC and the pseudo capacitor to realize the better performance characteristics. Utilize the both Faradic and the non-Faradic process to store the charge. Okay, so previous first one what we have seen is the non-Faradic effect. Okay, next one is the Faradic effect. Faradic way, just so it is using both the ways. Okay, so hybrid capacitors have achieved the energy and the power density higher than the both without sacrificing the cycling stability and the affordability that have limited the success of the pseudo capacity. So research has focused on the three different types of hybrid capacitors distinguished by their electrode configuration, that is okay. Now here also hybrid also having the three types, so that we have seen one is composed and asymmetric and battery type representatively. Okay, so respectively we have three types. Advantages, see, advantages, because the cycles, according to cycles, is not going to degrade. So what happens, it have long life, rapid charging, immediately it can get the charge, low cost, okay, compared to the battery, high power storage, faster release, okay, and simple structure without employment of the toxic substances. Disadvantages, high voltage to charge, the tractability, okay, it is a serious problem to solve. This complicated bidirectional system of power electronics converter capable of working in a significantly wide range of voltage and the great currents. So low specific energy, individual cells show a low voltage, not at all the energy can be utilized during the discharge. So they are have a high self discharge as compared to the battery. Self discharge rate is very high compared to the battery actually. So voltage balancing is required when more than three capacitors are connected in series. Okay, voltage we wants to balancing circuit is required for when three are connected together in a series actually. Applications where we are using, so it is far and efficient. So wherever we require the short term energy storage, we can use there with. So that is the one is electrical car, UPS, energy storage device, interaction, driving systems in a frequent startup and a braking, etc. So if that is the lift actually where we are using of it. For the distribution network to improve the quality of supply, wireless communication system for uninterrupted supply, overload generating system, and example is the fuel cell. Flywheel, yes, which is the oldest popular method for the storing the energy. So what happens in a flywheel, we have a one disk, okay, with a certain amount of mass is there, okay, so weight that spins and hold the kinetic energy. So modern high tech flywheel are built with a very heavy disk attached to the rotor to upright position to prevent the gravity influence, and that takes lot of force to spin around. It might be have a large diameter disc with the spokes and heavy metal rim, or it can be a smaller diameter cylinder made up of something like a carbon fiber compost. Okay, it may be a disc only, but it stores the energy in a form of kinetic energy. Okay, so it is a mechanical type of storage actually. So it is the kind of wheel you have to push really hard to set it spinning, just as the flywheel needs a lot of force to start it off, and so it need a lot of force to make it stop. So as a result, as the spinning is at high speed, it tends to wants to keep its on spinning. So that is the angular momentum. Once it start moving means it got the angular momentum. That means it can store the great deal of kinetic energy. So this can be charged by simple electrical motor. Simultaneously, it can be act as a generator in the process of discharging. So once by keeping as a spinning, what you want to do, you want to connect a motor. Yes, so motor, what happens, it converts the electrical to mechanical energy. That mechanical rotation is given to the flywheel, so it start rotating. Once it start rotating means this is a charging process of the flywheel, and once it is charged, again how it discharge, you want to connect a one generator. So what happens, it got the mechanical power from the flywheel, and output will you get a electrical. So that time it will act as a generator. So it is what kind of, it is a mechanical battery. Battery is there, but it's a mechanical battery that can be stored energy in the form of movement rather than the stored in a chemical form in actual battery. Okay, now there is this equation, we know actually the maximum energy can be stored in a rotating mass. Okay, energy stored is rotating mass is equal to E is equal to J omega square by 2. What is J? Is a moment of inertia of the flywheel because it's a mass, and omega is the rotational speed of the flywheel actually. So now we can see from this equation the square of the rotational speed. Okay, so what it is depends. If you want to increase the energy storage capacity of a flywheel, what you want to increase? You want to increase the speed of the rotational speed of the flywheel actually, because it is squarely proportional. So it is best suited for the peak output powers of 100 kilowatt to 202 megawatt for the duration of 12 seconds to 60 seconds. Flywheel is commonly left in a vacuum so that to minimize the air friction. Yes, while it is rotating, there will be air friction. Okay, to avoid that air friction, what we are doing, we are rotating the flywheel in a vacuum. Okay, so which will be have a slow the flywheel. Now we see the components of the flywheel. So components are, one is flywheel, motor generator because charging and discharging, bearing and power electronics, and one inductor. Flywheel, which stores the energy in a rotating mass of the steel or composite material. Mechanical inertia is on the basis of the storage method. Uses the motor and generator. Energy can be cycled, absorbed, and then discharged. Increasing the surface speed of the flywheel. Energy storage, that is kWh of the unit increased. Okay, motor generator set. Okay, so permanent magnet machines we are using. Okay, so because it having the higher efficiency, smaller in size compared to other type of generators and motors of the same rating. So permanent magnet can exhibit the low motor losses, rotor losses, and more low winding inductance, which makes the more suitable for the vacuum operated environment, because we know that flywheel is rotating in a vacuum environment. Okay, so it is a rapid energy transfer of the flywheel application. The motor generator set is designed to operate at the high speed to minimize the system size. Yes, we should be having the high speed, it should be rotate, and that we can store the more energy also in high speed. Power electronics. So what are the power electronic systems are used here? So flywheel energy storage system is the three-phase IGBT based PWM inverter and rectifier. IGBT is the solid state device with the ability to handle the voltage up to 6.7 kilowatt and current of 1.2 kiloampere, and the most important, the high switching frequency. Okay, so we are using inverters to get off it. Okay, inverters and rectifiers. Magnetic bearing. Magnetic bearing consists of permanent magnets which suppose the weight of the flywheel for repelling the force, and the electromagnets are used to stabilize the flywheel. The best performing bearing is the high temperature superconducting magnetic bearing, which can suit the flywheel automatically without need of electricity or the positioning of the control system. STS magnets requires the cryogenic cooling for the by the liquid nitrogen. Okay, now if you are using the high temperature superconducting magnetic bearing, so high temperature, so cooling is required. That cooling is provided by the liquid nitrogen actually. External inductor, the high speed permanent magnet machine offers the low inductance with a low number of stator run and the high operating magnetic air gaps. Okay, so low inductance results the high total harmonic distance, that is THD, which increases the machine's power loss and temperature. So use the external inductor in series with the machine to charge mode in necessary to reduce the THD and bring within a accepted range. Okay, so whenever the high speed permanent magnet machines offers a low inductance, so what happens? Low inductance means the low number of stator returns, so low, there will be a large operating gap. So what happens? The THD is very high. Okay, the total harmonic distortions are very high, but this will what happens, there will be a loss in the machine. So what we want to do, we want to connect a one external inductor to compensate the THD. Usually THD for the voltage we want plus and minus 5 percentage actually. About this one we can't accept it only. Advantages: having the power density very high, energy density very high. The lifetime is 20 years actually, and almost independent of the depth of the charge and discharge. So we can't say that like in a battery we have a limitation in the depth of discharge and depth of charging actually. That is not there. No periodic maintenance is required. Short recharge time. Flywheel systems are not sensitive to the temperature since there is no operating, since they are operating in a vacuum environment. Okay, almost no carbon emission, fast response times, and no toxic components. There's no toxic components are there. It will be respond to fastly, have a no carbon emissions also. Disadvantages: complexity of durable and the low loss bearing. Okay, so this complexity is there because of the bearing. Mechanical stretch and the fatigue limit. Okay, so mechanical device. So material limits to around 700 meter per second tip speed, potentially hazardous failure mode, high acquisition cost, low storage capacity, high discharge, self discharge, that is 3 to 70%, 20 percentage per hour. Applications where we can use, so load following flowing for the distributed generation, power quality UPS, industrial pulsed power, light rail power, flywheel in a distributed network, hybrid and electrical vehicle. Okay, so hybrid and hybrid is depends upon, we can make a small disc also and make as a flywheel. So these are the applications for the flywheel. Thank you.